afternoon and thank you for joining us on FutureTV. I'm Linda Tamim and these are today's top stories. Pope Francis proclaims two of his predecessors as saints of the Roman Catholic Church at the Vatican, an event attended by thousands of people from around the world. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons is considering launching a fact-finding mission to investigate reports of chlorine gas attacks in Syria. And President Barack Obama says the United States is committed to help maintain peace and stability in Asia. Pope Francis has proclaimed two of his predecessors as saints of the Roman Catholic Church in an event that drew hundreds of thousands of people from around the world in celebratory ambiances to St. Peter's Square. Francis, who read the formal proclamation conferring sainthood on John Paul II and John the 23rd, who helped shape 20th century history, was joined in today's canonization mass by former Pope Benedict, who resigned last year. It is the first time that two living popes have said mass together. Many of the faithful waved red and white flags from John Paul II's homeland of Poland, and thousands spent the night camped out in and around the Vatican in a Catholic festival atmosphere of singing, dancing and praying. Thousands also followed the ceremony on giant screens in some of the most picturesque spots of Rome, witnessing an event seen by the Vatican experts as a way of uniting conservative and reformist wings of Catholicism. It is the first time that two Catholic Church leaders are being sainted on the same day, and many commentators define the event as a four-pope day. Pope John Paul II was hugely popular and the first pope to be a media superstar, but he also drew criticism for his clampdown on leftist movements in the Catholic Church and his failure to tackle child sex abuse. As a Vatican diplomat, Angelo Roncalli, the future John the 23rd, has been credited with saving thousands of Jews during World War II, and he ended age-old Catholic prejudices against Jews after being elected pontiff. But he is best remembered as the driving force behind the Second Vatican Council, which overhauled arcane church rituals and doctrines, including allowing Mass to be celebrated in languages other than Latin. President Michel Sleiman and Maronite Patriarch Bshar al-Ra'i have attended the canonization Mass of Popes John Paul II and John the 23rd at the Vatican. Earlier, al-Ra'i had headed in Mass in Rome on the occasion of the centenary of the Mar Maroun Church. Voice of Lebanon Radio has announced that Lebanon will mark the first stop of a tour of the relics of both popes, which will kick off on May the 16th. Now for some local news. Police in Tripoli says the school principal, who was reportedly killed while trying to break up a fight between students, has died of natural causes. The internal security forces say a thorough investigation, as well as the autopsy reports of two coroners, revealed that Farouk Kardovaki died a natural death and there was no traces of wounds on his body. Previous reports say Kardovaki was hit by a sharp object as he tried to end a clash between students from the Awad and Mehris families at a school in North Lebanon. The leader of the UN OPCW mission in Syria, Sigrid Kaag, told a news conference in Damascus that the global chemical weapons watchdog, overseeing the destruction of Syria's toxic stockpile, was considering launching a fact-finding mission to investigate reports of chlorine gas attacks there. Syria became a member of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons last year as part of a deal with Russia and the United States to destroy its chemical weapons program. It has vowed to hand over or destroy its entire arsenal by the end of this week. However, it still has roughly 7.5% of the chemicals it declared to the OPCW and has not yet destroyed all of the dozens production and storage facilities.
When it comes to the allegations of use of chlorine gas in recent events and over the recent months, this is a matter under discussion in The Hague directly by OPCW with the Syrian authorities. There is a discussion on a possible fact-finding mission, and this is where matters are now. The risk of security conditions impacting negatively in the immediate future calls on Syria to ensure the very timely and swift extraction, even more so than ever before. We are hopeful that the 30th of June deadline will be met and that the final push will indeed achieve the complete progress that we're looking for.
Wiam stopped going to school after fleeing Syria more than a year ago. However, she plays a star role in Shakespeare in Zatari, which has inspired her to become an actress. Check it out.
Wiam, a 12-year-old refugee from Daraa in southwestern Syria. In Zatari, where she lives, she discovered Shakespeare. Today she's Cordelia, King Lear's youngest daughter.
اصرخوا وارفعوا أصواتكم بالعويل لقد مات الملك لير. 3 بنات بدهن ياخذن 2 منافقات وأنا الصادقة كورديليا وريغان وجوريل. كاذبات بدهن ياخذن الورثة مني وبدهن ياخذن على الملك لير.
The idea is to help children through drama, Shakespearean drama. Wiam is one of 80 budding actors taking part. In this scene, King Lear casts her out of the kingdom. She dared to tell him that she loves him as much as any daughter loves her father. Not more, not less. Wiam hasn't gone to school since her family fled Syria more than a year ago. Her father worries about a long commute as there's no school close by. But he is a proud father.
اختاروا بنتي وئام وراحت معهم بروفا يوم واحد هيك فعجبها هي التمثيل هم كمان عجبوها بنفس الوقت يعني.
There is a chance Wiam will be able to go to school soon, but the lure of the stage has caught her imagination.
فرحانة. جاهزة عشان العرض إنه نعمل مشان نطلع على التلفزيون.
So the idea of becoming a school teacher has been replaced. But is she good enough? Wiam says the audience will decide.
أنا بائسة يا مولاي، لا أستطيع أن أجعل قلبي يتكلم بلساني، أحبك يا صاحب الجلالة وفقا لما يقضيه واجبي، لا أكثر ولا أقل. صادقة محقة اخرجوا جميعا. ماذا تقولين يا كورديليا؟
أنا بتوقع لوئام إذا بتستمر يعني بتفوت بشكل أكاديمي على هذا المجال، أعتقد ستكون من الأسماء المهمة بالعالم. أعتقد.
اصرخوا وارفعوا أصواتكم بالعويل لقد مات الملك لير.
The audience loves her. She is thrilled.
حلوين كثير بس يعني أنا حبيت دور كثير بس ما بعرف حاسة باللبكة كثير لأني أول مرة بنعمل عرض ونجحنا فيه يعني ما إحناش مصدقين إنه إحنا نجحنا.
The play doesn't stop here. There are plans to take Shakespeare in Zatari to the Jordanian capital. As for Wiam, she has found hope and a dream on stage.
Coming up next, the South Korean Prime Minister resigns amid criticism of government handling of the Seoul ferry disaster. More after the break. Welcome back. More and more women in Iraq are taking initiative in seeking political rights for the country's female populace. Up to 2,600 female candidates are running for Iraqi parliamentary seats in the April 30th elections, accounting for 28.8% of the candidates' total. Only 1,086 women signed up last year. Moreover, the election this year has seen the establishment of the Independent Women's Movement, or Tayyad, a first-ever female-only party in the democratic process in Iraq. Female candidates taking part in this month's parliamentary elections say they hope their participation will elevate women's social status in the country. And now for news around the world in brief. Macedonians have braved the rain to head out and vote for their new parliament and president. Macedonia's conservative Prime Minister Nikola Gruevski is likely to win a third as relative economic stability has kept at bay opposition complaints that his rule is authoritarian. Voting ends at 5 GMT and preliminary results are expected late tonight. Some 400 waiters and waitresses test their on-the-job speed by racing through Buenos Aires, Argentina, with a tray containing a glass of wine, a bottle of Coke, and a bottle of water. The race was the first of its kind and was won by Juan Anibal. Anibal not only won the race, but the over 46-year-old category. South Korea's Prime Minister has announced his resignation over the widespread criticism over the government's response to the April 16 ferry disaster. Prime Minister Chung Hong-won announced his resignation early this morning at an emergency news conference in the capital of Seoul. Chung's resignation was approved by President Park Geun-hye, although her spokesman later said that he will remain in his post until the rescue operation is completed. Thousands of protesters have staged a sit-in near the presidential palace in Taiwan's capital to oppose a controversial nuclear power plant and show support for high-profile activists on hunger strike. The protesters braved pouring rain in Taipei to wave banners and placards reading "Abolish nuclear power" amid tight security. Reports say organizers expected a turnout of over 70,000 people, while initial police estimated the crowd at 8,500. Police sealed off some streets in the area with barbed wire barricades as organizers vowed to stage more protests if their demands were not met. The plant outside Taipei has been one of the most contentious projects in Taiwan. Intense political wrangling has repeatedly delayed its construction, which began in 1999 and has already cost around $10 billion. U.S. President Barack Obama says the United States is committed to help maintain peace and stability in Asia and warns that Myanmar will not succeed democracy if oppression against minority Muslims continues. Obama was addressing groups of Southeast Asian youngsters during a town hall-style meeting in the University of Malay during his 3-day visit to Kuala Lumpur.
I believe that together we can make the Asia-Pacific more secure. You know, America has the strongest military in the world, but we don't seek conflict, we seek to keep the peace. We want a future where disputes are resolved peacefully and where bigger nations don't bully smaller nations. All nations are equal in the eyes of international law. We want to deepen our cooperation with other nations on issues like counterterrorism and privacy, but also humanitarian aid and disaster relief, which will help us respond quickly to catastrophes like the tsunami in Japan or the typhoon in the Philippines. And no country is going to succeed if a part of its population is put on the sidelines because they're discriminated against. Malaysia won't succeed if non-Muslims don't have opportunity. Myanmar won't succeed if the Muslim population is oppressed.
The National Basketball Association, or NBA, is investigating an audio recording posted online which allegedly reveals the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers telling his girlfriend not to post photographs of herself with African Americans or bring them to games involving the basketball team. Celebrity news site TMZ.com published a 10-minute recording on its website late on Friday, describing it as a taped conversation between billionaire Donald Sterling and a model who goes by the name of V. Stiviano. Sterling later told TMZ the recording does not reflect his views. The recording has been sharply criticized by civil rights leaders, fans, and players. U.S. President Barack Obama says the comments are incredibly offensive and racist. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our top stories. Pope Francis proclaims 2 of his predecessors as saints of the Roman Catholic Church at the Vatican, an event attended by thousands of people from around the world. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons is considering launching a fact-finding mission to investigate reports of chlorine gas attacks in Syria. Finally, President Barack Obama says the United States is committed to help maintain peace and stability in Asia. Those are your weekend headlines from us here at Future Television. We'll be back again tomorrow with more updates. Don't miss them.